And that's why he might not even be your father. So.
What? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Live from the Bench with Boulevard and GQ. We are here again. We're going to give you another great episode.
Another one because they're all great.
Of course they are. And we got some nice little topics we want to discuss. One that is just like very exciting. It's like kind of a trending topic going on in the world right now. The Asante Samuel Sr. versus Deion Sanders Sr.
Okay.
Who's the better of them? And they're like, we're not asking the question. They are, because they put it out there. Asante believes that
Asante put it out there. Yeah.
Asante believes he's better. Deion put his argument out there. Asante put his. He actually challenged everybody to compare his 5-season. He gave us a 5-season break and said compare it to Deion's career.
06 to 11, he said. Asante Samuel's 2006 to 2011 seasons when he had 16, 28, 29, 36 interceptions in 5 seasons. And no reasonable point did Deion come close to touching that number in 5 seasons. We're being honest, coming back for those last 2 years with Baltimore did quite a number on his stats that took him over 50 to 53. So.
Baltimore. I remember when he came back from Baltimore. He was like the 4th corner on the team.
Yeah. I remember he got in, made a big play. I believe he got an interception. And that was the first year where taking your helmet off was a penalty, and that's immediately what he did. I guess that was 2004.
Yeah.
He also, while coming back, fucked up his chances of going in the Hall of Fame in 2005, but it's not like it mattered what year he went in. Back to the point, though. At no point in Deion's career did he match these interception numbers over a course of 5 years, and that was Asante Samuel's explanation for being better than Deion. That his high was higher than Deion's high. And yeah, I could see that. Deion played longer. Deion was more liked. But that's beside the point. I mean, yeah. Where was the stat? What was it? They both had 2 rings. Let me find that information. But you can talk now. I'll stop rambling.
Yeah. I believe the stat you were talking about is like their games played, interceptions, playoff appearances, Super Bowls.
And like I got it all here, but it was all lumped together nice and perfectly for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by those numbers, I believe Asante Samuel looks like the better player. Like he produced better numbers than he did. And here's my thing, because I know it's going to get off track a little bit, but I hate it's like people tend to like skew their argument when they say like, hey, numbers are more important. So if that's the case, then Asante Samuel was better, because if y'all refuse to acknowledge Jalen Hurts' numbers because he's not putting up a lot of numbers, why acknowledge Deion's? So it's just one of those things, like, because if you look at the numbers itself, Asante Samuel did a lot more in production than Deion did in a shorter period of time.
Yeah, I mean, this list is what I was using for stats. Don't seem to have the first 4 years of his career statistically, as far as tackles and pass deflections, things that I would need to really
Mm-hmm.
make a fair comparison to these two. I need a full stats, but if we're going by 5 year sets,
Mm-hmm. That's
Asante
it.
has a better. It looks better.
Yeah.
Is that to say that he's a better cornerback? Not to my eyes, no. He was an Eagle, but I mean, he was an Eagle for a while. He was a great Eagle. He had a bunch of interceptions in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what we measure cornerbacks by: interceptions and not letting the corner receiver get the ball. Basically, he was good. He was solid. I'm not. I mean, he's not one of the ones I'm ashamed that we had out there in the secondary.
Agreed.
So he's a Hall of Very Good, but he's not up. He's not on Deion's level. That's absurd.
I agree with you.
Deion's effect on the game wasn't just as a corner, but if we're going strictly off a corner, Deion shut receivers down in
Yeah.
an era where you could be more physical on both sides. You could be more physical with the corner. You could be more physical with the receiver. And Deion
Mm.
wasn't the most physical, but man on man, he would shut you down.
Yeah, he was
Zone,
locked
I
down.
couldn't tell you. I didn't understand football enough as far as coverage is when Deion played. So I couldn't tell you how good he was in zone coverage. And that was another thing that Asante tried to make a point on in one of his rants. Is that we were just talking man to man when it came to Deion because I assume because that's primarily what he played. But Asante's point was that he was better in zone. He was better in making tackles. You may be right. Deion wasn't really known as for his tackling. He's more known for diving at ankles or legs. So I can see his point. But for him to actually say and believe in his heart that he's better than Deion is foolish.
Yeah. Like
Deion,
this, yeah, like Deion's a household name. I wouldn't say Asante Samuel was a household
right?
name. Um,
You're in Philly, and we love you, but we went we like you weren't even a household name in Philly, and we love
right.
you as
Yeah.
Eagles fans.
And the thing is about Deion is like a lot of people who wanted to play the cornerback position. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I watched Deion.
Mm-hmm.
Like Deion was who I was. I'll say this right now. I couldn't play the way Deion played, even when I was at the top of my ability. I couldn't do what Deion did. I
Did
couldn't
Asante
even
Samuel have a song?
no.
Did Asante Samuel have a dance?
No. I don't think Asante Samuel had the talent, the swagger. Like Deion had a different thing. Like I felt like a lot of the touchdown dances was like, "Hey, I want to be like prime time." So
Diamond
there's,
Rolex and
I feel
Gators
like
on my plate.
I feel like you can look at Asante Samuel and say, like, if Asante Samuel's argument was like, I was more productive than Deion was. I had
Mm-hmm.
more results than Deion did. Okay, you can have I can understand that argument, but you to say you're better than Deion, no. Deion's whole body of work was different. Like
Yes.
the way he did what he did was different. It's like you can't duplicate that. Now, I'll say this. I feel like if anybody's going to duplicate a Dion type career just from their first year, I would say that maybe Quinion Mitchell, as he gets better, could be like that. But I don't think Quinion Mitchell's fast enough, and that's like a really big thing when it comes to Dion. Dion was like he was blazing hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like
Four
there's
shoe
no
something, four shoe three, four shoe one, something along those lines. Four shoe
yeah
one's never been confirmed, though. Otherwise, it would obviously have been a record standing for a while. But
yeah.
no one documented that. We can't say for certain it was true. We can assume it was like a 4.23, 4.25. That's what
Mhm.
we're giving him credit. He was fast. He was fast as fuck.
Yeah, and I feel like there's just certain things you can't duplicate when what Dion brought to the game is different than
Like
what any
Deion's
cornerback.
technique.
Yeah, and speaking of technique, So
Mhm.
what the other argument was that, and this was the one reason why I feel like I disagree with Deion because he said that the back pedal then going forward was different.
The yeah, you mean the technique? Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
more
I
thing you
grew
do
up
with
doing the
your back step to propel yourself forward. And his argument was, why do you do that? Why don't you do what you would normally do? Why do you? Yeah, it's a hip thing, and you turn your hip, push your foot back, and you come off in that back foot, and you push yourself forward. But Deion says it's not necessary, and for Deion, it might not be because Deion was running, as we said, 4-2-1, 4-2-3,
yeah
4-2-5. So he wouldn't have to do what your average cornerback would have to do.
correct.
He could rely on his amazing athleticism to get him
Yeah,
by.
and I think that's where Dion is like is losing sight of like like his like how great he was. He's like overlooking the reality for it in a sense because like the way I played corner, I was smaller. I was fast, but I wasn't that fast.
Mm,
And knowing that when if somebody who's as fast or faster than me could possibly because I don't believe there's many receivers faster than Dion back in those days. So if somebody who like gets behind Dion probably had a better catch up speed than him.
mm,
He probably had a solid catch up speed. I don't think I could have done that. So I had to rely on that T step. That T step was matters because if somebody who gets in front of me, I can't just like I need that extra step, that extra that foot to give me that leverage, to give me that push
mm.
off to get back. Because I don't have that explosiveness and like I didn't have the explosiveness that he had. I was fast. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I was quick. I was fast, but I had to play a different. I played the position cornerback differently than Dion did.
Like, and also the way Dion was explaining, well, complaining about it, is not the same way that Asante applied
Mm-hmm.
the technique. He applied it like he had experience, like he was trained how to do it as efficiently as possible. Like he didn't lose time by making that step when he was cutting. A lot your average corner doesn't have the reps in or the experience in to have that. That's developed. It's technique. All technique is developed. But it worked for Asante.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple different techniques you can use, bicycle technique, T step, W step. But it's really what works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's
a
a big thing.
you have to do what your body needs you to do to be at your best, to be at your quickest.
Yeah, and that's major because I feel like if and that's where Dion may want to walk back some of these statements because to say
Mhm.
that doing things a different way is stupid is like Dion. If you go out in the world and you look at these young corners who actually take what you say at value, you may screw their skill set up because if there's a corner that's like more of a physical corner, not as fast,
Mhm.
if he's trying to imitate you and trying not to do it a different way because he doesn't want to be considered stupid in the eyes of Deion Sanders, you may end up damaging the way he plays, and he'll
That's
probably
good
end
stuff.
up becoming worse because he's trying to do things differently than what's actually comfortable and what's fitting of his skill set.
Mhm.
Because if somebody is very successful in that T step, like they find no problem in performing the T step when
Well,
they cover.
most of them use the T step in some form of fashion.
Yes,
It's like
that's how I was trained.
like
I was trained.
101, basically.
Yeah, so I feel like if somebody is they've played the two step, they're comfortable in the two step, you gotta just let that be. That doesn't make them stupid. That makes them comfortable at what they do, and that's how they find success. Now, if they get burned off the two step all the time, and they really need to change, then maybe they can revisit that technique. But I wouldn't go as far as saying they're stupid. And I think that's the one thing. That's the one thing about the whole argument is when Dion said that it's stupid to do that way because that may not be true for everybody.
Right.
It may be stupid to you, but in other people's, it may not work.
What might be right for you, it may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. No, this is the kind of thing where if you're one of the greats, you like where it's like God given ability that you've cultivated it, but it's God given. You can't compare your experience to what a lot of people have had to go push themselves through
Mm-hmm.
to get better at football. To get to the training they've had to go through, the techniques they've had to work on and apply, and because it hasn't been that kind of challenge for you, because you could just
Right.
rely on your 4.2 low 4.2 speed through most of the time. You can like how do I put this?
I get what you're
He
saying.
doesn't know how to teach techniques because he didn't have to learn those techniques.
Right.
He doesn't
Right.
understand that we can't all rely on what got him there
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
because
you know,
like if like for example, you take a guy like Cooper DeJean,
mhm.
probably not even close to being as fast as Deion. So, if he and I'm pretty sure Cooper DeJean uses the T step. From what I've seen, he does use the T step. Cooper DeJean is probably going to use his size as opposed to using his speed to stay with a player. Cooper DeJean, you probably throw a pass on Cooper DeJean on a short pass. He's probably gonna get the tackle before he gets the pass breakup, which I understood. Which works. I don't care. It doesn't bother me any at all. But
Right.
his technique is going to work for him. Him trying to learn the Deion technique is going to cause him to fail. Uh, and
Well, he needs he'll figure it out. He's young. All
yeah,
this technique shit
the
that'll
argument,
come with time.
it's everybody has to do their technique and that's what works for them. I will never try to come out and imitate anybody's technique unless my technique is either similar to theirs and I can actually do that if I can actually perform in that way. Because if you're gonna tell me to come out there and do press, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I get beat every time. I would never imitate one of the top press corners. I would never do it because I'm getting beat. I don't have the size to play press corner.
But yeah, you'd have to play more off coverage at your
Yeah.
size, but it's all relative. I mean, it's all relative, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know. Move on. I'm on to the next one.
On to the next one. So another thing that has occurred in the league and that I'm gonna have a problem with is Stefon Diggs got a new deal. This irritates me because it's like one of those conversations that we continue to have on this show where we discuss contracts being like excessively high and it's like wasteful when it comes to money. It's like, and I know that when it comes to contracts, it's just like it's one of those things that we're both learning. We're probably getting a grasp on, trying to understand how contracts work. You're probably further along in that process than I am because you're just a brainiac just in your core. That's just who you are. I'm trying to do it because it's kind of the path that my career is on. But I think his deal was it 3 years 69? I can't remember.
3 year 69, 26 guaranteed with the Pats.
With the Patriots. That's the part that I missed. Okay. Um, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I'm all for him getting his money. Let me just say that. I'm all for anybody getting their money. You get your money, you get your money. If these teams are dumb enough to pay you, you got to be smart enough to sign on the dotted line. But me personally, I feel like Stefan Diggs will be on a prove it deal for me. I'd be trying to get him on a much smaller contract because he hasn't done anything over like a great. Not saying he hasn't done anything. I'm not going to say he hasn't done anything because Stefon Diggs is still a weapon no matter how you see it. But when a guy has just been continuously hurt, I would be very wary. Like he's not only has he been hurt, but he's also been a bit of a distraction in the locker room. I wouldn't want to go out and just commit to him on big deals. Like I would have to see something before I can pay him. I'd say, hey, let me get you on a 1 year deal, and we'll see where it go from there. Because the way his season ended in Houston, I wouldn't have did it. But I could be wrong,
Okay.
you know.
Part of what you said is accurate. Yeah, he coming off an injury, and it was a pretty major injury. But to see he hasn't had production, he's cleared 1,000. 6 of the last 7 seasons, if you count last season. His targets are 149 and 18, 94 and 19, 166 in 2020, 164 and 21, 154 and 23, 22, and 160 and 23. Now, there was definitely going to be a decline in his targets. I mean, it really wasn't, but being a part of the new offense, he was only getting 8 targets a game. But, you know, there was going to be a decline in targets, but it has nothing to do with this deal. This is they're signing him kind of like expecting the guy of old. Like they're giving him not. Let me relook at that contract again. 3 years, 69, 23. Okay, so yeah, they're giving him fairly high money for a 31-year-old coming off of a major injury, a season
Yeah.
ending. So yeah, there's a lot of risk involved. But all things considered, he's exactly what Drake May needs.
Well, I think it's exactly
Is
what the Patriots need. Like
a
it's
target
desperation.
sponge. They need a target sponge that can, take a double team, take a triple team, bracket coverage, what have you. But just take all of that away from the rest of the mediocre receiving core. Maybe open up some space for Ramondre so they don't just have to all key in on him because he's the only thing they got going over there.
Mm.
To an extent, it's a win-win. The negative is he's getting older. It's probably a team-friendly deal, but he's getting older and he's coming off of an injury. This could be the start of a trend with injuries with him because, I mean, let's face it, he's taking a lot of hits. The man's getting 160 targets in a season. He's getting a hit 140 of those, 150 of those, 160, something like that. He's getting smashed, period. He's getting beat up,
Yeah.
wear and tear. So,
And
yeah, go on.
no. I just think like I feel like that in and of itself will be like a problem for me. Just looking at it from like, okay, like the age thing, coming off an injury thing. I think I would. I mean, and I've always been a fan of Stefon Diggs. I like Stefon Diggs. I know he's been a bit of a diva over the past 2 games. He's been a diva.
Diva!
But he's had results. I don't think that Stefon Diggs is bad. I don't think he's a bad receiver. I just feel like the injury risk is like really concerning for me. I know just being in the position that I'm in now in the football space, it's one of those things where I'm like very wary of because once you put that money out there, it's like, man, I'm not gonna get that back. But I feel like yeah, you're right. It could be a team friendly deal because you're only throwing that if you average it out like 30 a year. That's not a lot.
No, I mean, like, they could have pulled a Howie and put the money in year 3.
Yeah.
And, you just get what you get up front. You get a little
Hmm.
bit next year, but everything is already off the cap by year 3, but it's
Yeah.
dead weight on the cap, dead cap, but you already got paid. So they can
Because
move
my
on from it.
concern is if because I feel like it's either Stefan is playing for the contract or I feel like he's probably trying to play just to be like, hey, I can still do this shit. Because you look at the Patriots team, he knows, we know, he knows, I know, you know, and everybody watching, unless you're from that New England area, that the Patriots aren't going to the playoffs. That's just my
Right.
mind. I feel like they don't have it in them to go to the playoffs. It's just not
No,
going to work. They're not going.
not even
So
with Diggs. Not even with Diggs getting 160 targets, they wouldn't be seeing the playoffs.
yeah. So my question is he going to finish out this contract? I feel like you give him 1 year, he puts up his numbers. I think Diggs gets 90 catches, 1,100 yards, and then
That's
he's
great
traded.
for that's a great season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe.
There's
Well, I
probably
feel
an
like he
out like
has
a
no choice.
void after the season, so he can just cut him loose.
Yeah, not, and I feel like
Like I
that's
said,
what's going to happen. I feel
Pickens,
like he's gonna.
he'll, he's definitely not playing 3 years on a 3 year deal. He's
Yeah,
not going to finish the contract. No, he could be gone next season. More than
yeah,
likely,
that's
he'll
what I
be
feel like is going to happen.
next season or the season after, but he will not finish the deal.
Because I feel like he's going to be like number one receiver. They're going to just throw him everything because he doesn't have Drake May doesn't have anybody else to throw to. Like the receiving room in New England has been like a revolving door. Like I feel like
Mm,
they've lost like the receivers just like like they haven't figured out who's gonna do what, and I feel like it's
What
gonna be a
you
lot.
doubt Mac Hollins, the barefoot
Is he a
wonder?
Patriot now?
Yeah, he's a Patriot.
Oh, never mind. I'm gonna shut up now. 'Cause
Looks
I
like
think Mac Allen.
Stefon Diggs, Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, Mac Hollins, Keyshawn Butte, Jalen Polk, and all our cartoon pals.
Yeah, I feel like I might have to throw in another 5 to 10 receptions on that Stefon Diggs season because them targets are gonna be crazy. I think he's gonna break a record for targets in a season because
If it's not his record already, I'd be surprised.
shit, because that's bad. They don't have Drake May's gonna be throwing the ball to him a lot because it's
Mm-hmm.
and Diggs is gonna be like, I can't take that much. It's gonna be too much on him. He's gonna, and I feel like Stefon Diggs doesn't need a complimentary receiver. So I feel like it goes to one of two ways. They have to double Diggs and they open up stuff for another receiver.
Well, yeah, that would be the logical solution if he actually shows that he still
Yeah,
got something left and not shell of himself.
but if they don't do that, if they have some, if the opponents have a solid corner on the other side that can hold him at bay, because Diggs is probably not as fast as he used to be, especially coming off the ACL injury. Was it ACL? I'm not
I
sure. I
don't
think it was
know.
ACL. Whatever the injury was, he's not going to be as fast. He's not going to be the Diggs that was torching everybody. He's not him anymore. Um, but if he can at least be some type of threat, like not like a Demario Douglas or whatever his name is, like because you're not really threatened by him that much. But if he's like okay, we actually have to put some ideas or some game plan toward him, I feel like you can probably get something out of him. But he definitely needs a complimentary number two because if there isn't somebody, unless Matt Collins is coming in here, he's like, yeah, I'm about to step my game out. I doubt it. I feel like I don't see it that much of an improvement in the Patriots themselves as an organization. They're still going to be,
A
which is
ways
crazy to me
away.
because I'm thinking about it. Like this is the team that was like winning back to back Super Bowls. Like they were winning Super Bowls, like the coach Chiefs were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, how they go from that to that? And it's like
Where were they
crazy.
supposed to go?
I
Dynasty when
don't,
dynasties fall, they fall hard.
yeah,
You
you
got to
think the
climb
Chiefs?
back up. You got to rebuild. Your foundation has crumbled. And the whole foundation was named Thomas Brady. So,
Yeah, because they definitely that it was day and night the way that crumbled. So
mm-hmm. And
yeah,
shit, Belichick ain't even try to come back to the NFL. If he did, nobody was listening. That's why he's in college. He wouldn't
mm,
have cut it as a pro without Brady.
I agree with you. No, I actually agree with you.
Mm.
All right,
Yeah.
move on from the Diggs deal, and they're gonna have a little fun. So, Jameis Winston, he said at the Super Bowl presser, he said, "Hey Saquon, I'm unemployed. I ain't got a job." What team should sign me? Saquon said New York. Jameis said New York. Who? They need a quarterback. And Saquon was like the Giants. They need a quarterback. Which at the time, big disrespect to everybody in that or anybody in that Giants QB room. Major disrespect.
Nah, that was disrespectful to four people. Dude who hired this, who drafted him, and those quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Everybody else in that locker, in that room, in that building, agreed with that statement.
Yeah.
They ain't
But
no damn quarterbacks.
a few months later, it's like Jameis Winston ended up a Giant.
Mm-hmm.
That lasted, the hype for that lasted all but 2 days. I don't even think it was a full 2 days, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure they signed Jameson on Monday, and
Could
then we
be.
signed Wilson on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Today? Today's Wednesday.
Technically, yes, but tomorrow is work
Okay.
week.
Yeah, it's late.
This video will be up on Thursday, so
This could have been after dark. Well,
yeah, I'd be asleep by
there
then.
will be one next week. There will be an after dark.
Hopefully, well, there
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah.
We'll plan for it. So I want to know what you think of first off, because I feel like this right here, we calling it the QB scraps of the NFL. Did the Giants? Because okay, so I feel like the Giants had an option to really go out and grab one of the young rookies and
Yeah.
improve, but it doesn't even look attractive to come here anymore. Because if it was Shador, if Shador fell to the Giants or Cam Ward fell to the Giants,
Fell. That wouldn't
is
be
it
a
even an
fall.
attractive spot anymore?
Yes. To me, that makes it more attractive because now whoever ends up there, be it Shador or Ward or other, you don't. I mean, if it's a quarterback, you don't have to throw him out there.
But
I mean, you can let Jameis go out there and eat the W's. You can let Jameis. I mean, you can let Tommy DeVito go out there and hide the bodies. You can let the hell's his name, Russell Wilson, take pictures and go walk the runways on Fifth Avenue. That's all he wants
you
to do anyway. He just wants the cameras. They don't want
you
him
know
like
in those movies where like there's like the pop like there's like the main character, he's a normal person and he walks into a room and there's like the goofy dude, the prissy dude, and then like just it's like everybody is just something's wrong with them, and like
uh
you're like I shouldn't be here,
yeah,
but you gotta make do. It's like I don't know if it was a long. It's just one of those movies where everybody's just jacked up. You know what? Blue Mountain State. Let's just throw Blue Mountain State in there.
sure, sure.
Everybody's just jacked up, and you got to be the normal one, the one normal one. That's what I feel like you're bringing in one of these young quarterbacks into a quarterback room full of weirdos. The fake Italian dude.
It is a room full of weirdos. Yeah.
The guy that sat in front of his entire team and was like, "We about to play in the national championship. I ain't never seen one of them." That's the weird. That's the weird guy. Then you got the fake Italian. Like, what you talking about, Tony? Him,
You ain't
DeVito.
seen nothing yet.
Like he's probably sitting in the back of the locker room while the team is talking. He's the fourth string quarterback, and he's wearing a mink coat with a fedora in the
Yes.
locker room.
Yeah. Fake ass your name at that shit. Yeah. Something
In the
like that.
back of the room, he's got like the trench coat, with the fedora on in the back of the locker room,
Mm-hmm.
over top of his football pads. And then Russell Wilson's like over in the corner with his short sleeve dress shirt over with the sweater vest over top. And then
Hey, I look good in a sweater vest personally.
with another sweater
Yeah,
tied around his neck.
that's where you lose me. I'm not going to pay polo at the
I
golf
don't
course.
understand it because I feel like this was something Russell would do. He would have a short sleeve shirt with a
Mm.
sweater vest on top with another sweater tied around his neck, and it's Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
Like
he's a
walking
real
into
life
that
Carlton.
quarterback meeting,
He's
I'm
definitely
walking.
a real life Carlton.
I'm walking into that quarterback room and I'm walking right back out demanding a trade.
It's like you got corny ass Russell Wilson, goofy ass Jameis Winston,
And the
and
identity
dork
crisis.
just dork ass Tommy DeVito. It's like just everything I've seen about doing that's it's really only pictures and little clips. He's a dork.
Mm.
They all got dweebish qualities to me. Um, but no, that ain't necessarily a bad thing. And I mean, if one good thing's gonna come out of it, there probably won't be too much of a scandal. And for New York quarterbacks, that's the thing. Like their media loves scandal. So we got three I won't say boring because Jameis ain't boring, but
No,
Jameis
he,
is harmless. Jameis is harmless. DeVito's a geek, and Russell Wilson is real life Carlton. Like he probably will be on a Segway somewhere near the water, riding around.
definitely the least problematic locker
Yeah,
quarterback room.
that's what I'm saying. Like there's not going to be any issues there. So if they were to bring in, say, a Shador, he could sit for a while and watch. He could learn how to be a pro because they can at least give him that much. I
Yeah.
don't know how. I mean, he's going to have to work for that spot if
Oh, of
he's
course.
if you do draft him. I mean, he'll be drafted second, third. So the pressure will be there for him to start. And I don't know. They'll probably keep him out till week 10, week 11. Meantime, it'll be a fun ride. That whole quarterback room will be fucking hilarious. You'll have an egomaniac. I can't say that. That's not fair.
Oh, it's definitely fair. He's an
Okay.
egomaniac. Anybody, I'll
We're
say that.
egomaniacs here at Live from the Bench.
Yes, but
He's just an ego.
anybody who walks into any quarterback who walks into a team and demand his own office is an egomaniac.
Caleb Williams?
Listen,
No, he wanted a room for his mama.
yeah, he wanted a job for his mom. His
He
mom
wanted his
needed
mom
a
to be the
job.
team counselor, but only to him. This ain't that bad. I mean, Shador's not going to be a problem in the pros. He's going to be a pro.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not worried.
agree.
I'm not worried about Shador and all of that nonsense at all. All that is fluff to fill up time on the TV shows.
Compared to everybody else, I feel like Shador's harmless.
Yeah, and it'll be more tempting for him to get into trouble being in New York, but he'll be all right. He's got
All
good.
right.
He's got good mentors in his life.
Yeah.
He'll be prepared.
But doubling back to Russell Wilson decided to sign with the Giants because the Steelers decided they would let one egomaniac go for a complete, what's the word?
Narcissist.
Narcissist. They went from an egomaniac to a narcissist. And they didn't even sign him. They didn't even come to terms.
Yeah, that's why it bothers me right there.
There's
That's the
no
part that bothers
agreement
me.
there. He just walked away. And if that doesn't tell you you're an egomaniac, Russell Wilson, that you didn't even wait for pen to touch paper to decide you didn't even want to fight for your position.
I've heard that they've already discussed the deal. There's something on the table, but no, nothing signed. Aaron Rodgers is off doing his bullshit. The Rooneys and Mike Tomlin are just sitting there, he'll be back soon. He's coming. He's coming. He really is.
It's gonna be Mason
Just
Rudolph
you wait.
because
He's
Aaron
coming
Rodgers
for
will
real. I
show up
swear.
and retire.
He's coming, right? That's how it's going. I mean, they're just sitting around bullshitting, wasting time with all this shit. You give him this much leeway now, he's just gonna keep taking more and more. all season.
Just scraping
And
the bottom of the barrel.
I expect more out of Mike Tomlin than allow this bullshit to continue.
I do
I'd
too.
rather go in there with Jackson fucking Dart, Quinn Ewers, or somebody along those lines
Yeah.
than have Aaron Rodgers in there. Let alone in my fucking locker room with all of his
I can
bullshit.
take Jalen Milroe over fucking Aaron
Right.
Rodgers.
With all of his bullshit. I'd rather have one of them third, fourth, second
Absolutely. Be- because after
bring a lot of media nonsense. He's going to bring that stupid ass show that he pops up on weekly. He's going to bring just all of his bullshit to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh ain't built for that shit.
right.
Pittsburgh's chill. Pittsburgh is hard work. Pittsburgh isn't floating by on my past accolades, things I did 10 years ago, because I won a Super Bowl in 2011? And he's still coasting off of that? Sure, he was a good quarterback in his prime. He's an okay quarterback now. But if you're expecting him to be a solution, you should just look at last season. And if you don't see it there, look at the season before that. Okay? If you're expecting better than that, but the Jets had a better roster, how are they expecting to beat? What could they possibly expect to get out of this? Because I would imagine realistically that this whole 18 seasons with winning records in a row is going to be over with Aaron Rodgers. Granted, if they just used a mid-round draft pick on a quarterback or sign one of these scraps in free agency, scraps, that's the name of it.
That's what they are.
Let's see who's available. Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Joe Flacco. Trey Lance is going to the CFL. Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, Case Keenum, Easton Stick, Josh Johnson, Bridgewater, CJ Beathard, Giggity, Tyler Huntley, Snoop, Brett Rippon, Jeff Driscoll, Desmond Ritter, Sam Erlinger. Like any of them, they may not give me wins, but they're not going to give me that Aaron Rodgers bullshit.
And here's the thing, and another thing to add to that is like you look at some of those names, like a lot of those names, you got a guys that are still very young.
Wentz.
As a lot of those guys are still very young, and they can still contribute to you beyond this year. Aaron Rodgers will probably give you 8 games of commitment, and then he's probably going to be like, "Yeah, I'm good." Like Aaron Rodgers gives you that.
Shows up and actually signs the contract.
Like he gives me that vibe. It's like I might retire before the season starts and leave y'all screwed. I might take this. You might draft me before sign me before the draft. So y'all be like, oh, we don't need a quarterback now. We got Aaron Rodgers, and then right after the draft, he'll go, I'm retiring. Like I wouldn't take that risk on somebody who's 41. He'll be 41, I believe.
He's 41 now.
41 now. I wouldn't take that risk because it's just going to lead to like screwing the team over. I'd rather, because you're not going to win with him. Sorry, you're not going to win with him.
You're not.
I would have rather than like Justin Fields sign this extension because I'd rather rock out with you for another year than risk blowing it to shit with Aaron Rodgers because he's going to come in there. He's going to essentially basically what Aaron Rodgers did was Chip Kelly light. Like I feel like he's going to do that to the Steelers, and that happens, it's a wrap. Because Aaron Rodgers is going to just have disagreements with DK. I barely believe that him and Pickens would even mesh well at all.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a constant butting heads between quarterback and receiver. Maybe even receiver on receiver going to be butting heads. There's going to be drama there. And if Rodgers goes there, then we're just going to wish that they had hard knocks.
He's going to be like, I don't like this number 14 guy, and I don't like this other guy. I need Allen over here. Get me Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb retired. And get me
Jordy already made their request. That's why he ain't signed yet.
He gonna be like, get me Randall Cobb. Give me Randall Cobb. He retired. All right, give me Jordy Nelson. He retired too. All right, fine. Give me
Yeah.
James Jones. He retired. Give me Sterling Sharp. He's not here anymore either. My brother, Brett liked him. He's not here anymore. That's
Jesus.
what I feel like is going to happen. Like he's just
Right.
going to want so much. Is Amon Green still available? You got 2 running backs. You don't need another one. No, you got 1 running back. You don't need another one. I liked Amon Green. Can you get me him? He's not here anymore. What about Aaron Jones? He's somewhere else. Oh, you're screwing me over here. It's like,
He had
I'm
solid stats, but there's no way in hell I'd let that man set foot in my locker
He
room.
would not set foot in my locker room. He couldn't sniff my locker. He couldn't sniff my building.
Mm.
You can't sniff my city. We'd have a problem.
I wouldn't want to sniff Pittsburgh. All right.
It smells like oil and metal scraping against each
Oh,
other.
it smells like butt crack hair set on fire. That's what Pittsburgh smells like.
Mm.
With the
Well,
dingleberries and all.
we're done with the QB scraps because that's basically what these teams are doing at this point right before the draft. They're just scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for a quarterback that can ignite a spark. And I'm not
Giants
interested.
country. Let's cry.
We're going to close out this episode with one more topic. And it's something that's near and dear to us, and it's the highlight of the show. Boulevard, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to tell me what you think. I'm going to give you 2 options. Who is the biggest failure to Philadelphia sports out of these 2
Oh,
legends in the city? Joel Embiid or Donovan McNabb? Who has failed this city more?
see, I was going to say Mitch Williams, but he's not on this list. I still got beef with Mitch Williams for the whole Joe Carter thing back in 92 or 93, whenever it was. Still got issues there. I'm always having an issue with Joe Carter. But now, out of Embiid and McNabb, I just never really liked McNabb. I always felt like he was inconsistent piece of shit. Who, if your hands were here, the ball was going to the ground. And the only really good receiver we had, he helped chase him out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And there was crap where he said Deshaun Jackson didn't deserve to make it to the Pro Bowl, even though that was his receiver. He was a kind of a dickhead and a drunk. That's probably why he puked on the field.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
Against the Jaguars.
now I guess I could break this down on the doucheometer or something, like who's the bigger douchebag? Who's the bigger dickhead? And solely for the T.O. thing, I'm going to give him a douchiness meter of 8 out of 10. 82% douche, plus the alcoholism and all the DUIs in Arizona and the Deshaun Jackson thing. Now, Embiid, all the talent in the world. What I understand, probably doesn't train that hard. And he's one of them load management babies who can't play back-to-backs and shit like that, who didn't take care of enough of his body enough to where it's broken down and he's not even 30 years old. And him being the face of the process. Now, considering the process was a complete fucking joke, or I think, 3 different GMs over the course of the process, that's not how business gets done. That's just more inconsistency. You can't even keep the front office consistent. That being said, you can't blame people for injuries. At his best, at full health, he's an MVP. And that can't be ignored. So, even though he does things like sit out back-to-backs, doesn't really play that, doesn't try to be out there as much as he should. He's still no, because there's a whole yeah. I mean, Jimmy Butler wanted to be here. They didn't want him here. They brought in James Harden. Whatever. I don't blame Embiid as much because the people that were supposed to make the process happen failed him. So I don't blame him. As far as they got was the 4 bounces versus Toronto, and that's it. The process was a failure. So I would say Daryl Morey or what the hell was the guy's name? Him and his son. The prior GMs would be bigger douchebags than Embiid.
Hmm.
Embiid's just wasted talent, I guess. What could have
Yeah.
been? What if? So I give him 4. I'm gonna say McNabb by far.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Plus, I'd rather punch McNabb in the face than Embiid.
I feel like I feel like both guys failed this city
Mm-hmm.
because both guys came up short
Mm-hmm.
when they had the best opportunity to have success. Um,
I don't
but
think.
McNabb probably destroyed the team worse because he just failed receivers. Like
Mm,
he just couldn't do it. Like I feel like he had 1 year where he went over 30 touchdowns in a
McNabb
season.
was like the top 12 quarterback who couldn't make the most of his weapons.
Yeah,
That's when he had weapons. I mean, I'm not going to say like Todd Pinkston, James Thrash, and them. They weren't great weapons.
yeah. Like he
But it
never
was a
really had
great
great weapons.
system that would have benefited that. Like quarterback shined in that system. He shined in that system. But he was a failure because
He
we had
kept up.
4 shots. We got close 4 times. We got to the door, and 3 times nobody even answered it. So
Hmm.
yeah, he's an
Kept getting to
idiot.
that NFC Championship game. Kept getting there.
And he got rid of him. He chased Owens out with all his nonsense. He pissed Deshaun Jackson off with all of his nonsense.
Hmm.
He's an asshole.
I'd agree. I would say that McNabb probably hurt the Eagles more than Embiid hurt the Sixers because Embiid right now he gets
The Eagles in their time, but Embiid, I feel like they failed him too because they didn't give him enough to win with.
yeah
Like the pieces they did give him, Tobias Harris and James Harden, like
failed him.
Tobias Harris wasn't that guy, and James Harden has never been playing for anyone but himself.
Yeah,
And then considering they blew the opportunity to pick up players who now have actually won rings, like they missed out on Jalen Brown and the fuck, Jason Tatum. Why did I struggle with
hmm
that? Like missed out on both of those once to get Embiid, but I digress. Yeah, they failed him. The general managers, the front office in Philly, Elton
I
Brandon, all of
agree
they failed him.
because I feel like didn't they failed with like 4 straight seasons of going after big men who failed them. What was it? It was like Nerlens Noel,
Mm-hmm.
Jaleel Okafor.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like Embiid, Nerlens, Okafor, Ben Simmons.
Andrew Bynum is who you're thinking of.
Did they draft the Eagles?
No,
The
they didn't
Sixers.
draft Andrew Bynum. No, I think no, they didn't draft Andrew Bynum.
But
Lakers
like
did.
I felt like they just kept going after these big men and like failed.
Yeah, Colangelos. Those are the names I was thinking of. Brian Colangelo.
Okay. Like they just failed. And like and me personally, I think like at some point somebody's got to be pissed off at these picks. Like I'd be
Mm.
pissed off. So yeah, I feel like they failed him instead of like getting him the pieces. I feel like the first time they decided we're going to get you a piece was when they brought in Maxi.
Hmm.
But that ain't even the first guy that they brought in that turned out to be a winner. What's the guy? He's a relative, the Bridges, Markel Bridges.
Oh, yeah.
They brought in Markel and they traded him. Didn't they trade him? Like,
They bought the dude in from Philly. His mom worked for the team, and they traded him same night, draft night.
yeah,
The one that did make it to Philly was a whole different Bridges.
Markel.
That's the one in Villanova. I mean, yeah, the one in New York now.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like the Sixers organization failed Embiid.
Yeah.
McNabb failed the Philadelphia Eagles organization and the city, throwing like 4 interceptions in the Super Bowl. You bum. And the crazy thing is, McNabb kind of was like, he kind of changed like, he was like one of the people, the catalyst toward the way the NFL position was, the quarterback position was changing. Like, yeah, uh, Cunningham and Doug Williams probably were like the catalyst for like the black quarterback, but McNabb was one of those guys that was like, oh, we're gonna play quarterback a little different. And like, cause he was the first black quarterback that I actually got to watch play. And then Vic came in a few years later. But like, I grew up, like when I first started watching, it was McNabb. I didn't get to see much of Randall Cunningham, or I never saw Doug Williams play. So it was McNabb, and like, and I feel like that probably inspired guys like Eric Crouch, you know, at Nebraska.
What
I
the
know
hell? What?
it's just the way that he played the game,
Nobody
the way that he
remembers
played the
Eric
quarterback
Brown.
position. I feel like the way he played the position as like a mobile quarterback, but Eric Crouch probably wasn't really a
Eric
quarterback.
Crouch is somewhere selling insurance.
I mean, he can't touch the football field again. They made that man cough up blood.
Mm.
I
Well,
remember that. I remember that vividly.
mm.
Changed that man position. He got hit in the chest. Started
So
coughing
does
up
he.
blood.
He remembers it too.
So we both are in agreement that McNabb is the biggest failure. They need to take him
Mhm.
out of the Eagles Hall of Fame.
As far as those two, yes, he's the biggest failure.
If you could throw anybody else on that list,
Mitch Williams, for one.
Mitch Williams.
Mm.
Okay.
I'm sure if I could thought about it, I could find a few.
If I can throw somebody on that list,
Mm.
the biggest failure in Philadelphia sports of my time, um, I feel like it's kind of obvious to say. I could say um, Chip Kelly, but that's too easy. I feel like the biggest
Oh yeah,
failure,
he's the winner if you're including coaches. It's him.
the
He
biggest failure in
snagged
Philadelphia
15 out of
sports
10.
would be a tie between Todd Pinkston and Freddie Mitchell.
Why? They had McNabb throwing to them. It still goes back to McNabb.
Yes, but the reason why, because Freddie Mitchell couldn't catch a ball if it touched him in the hands, and
His
Todd
hands were
Pinkston
so great.
and Todd Pinkston wouldn't attempt to catch a ball if it was right there in front of him because he was too scared to get hit. But yeah, I digress. They did have McNabb throwing to him. McNabb threw a lot of hospital balls. It
Mm-hmm.
was either too low or too high. And to be
Mm-hmm.
Todd Pinkston, you ooh.
Mm. Number 11, body shape.
But that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button to make that algorithm do what it do, and it makes YouTube happy. And don't forget something I haven't gotten to say to you guys all year or all season is one day we can be starters. No, that's not it. We can't all be starters, but Boulevard can tell you exactly what y'all can do.
Mm. Hit the bench.
Boom. Boom.